lot of this you've already covered because writing for the web is very similar to the style that you used in 1313. And I want to make sure you don't lose those skills even though we are learning a new style of writing in broadcast. So most importantly, the first rule when it comes to writing for the web is this. We do not do something called shovelware. Shovelware is when you copy and paste from your broadcast script and throw it up on the web. A lot of TV stations do this. It's incredibly lazy. It's really hard for readers to comprehend. Broadcast style doesn't translate to the written eye, or to the written word. So avoid shovelware at all costs. If you do shovelware on your assignments, it will be a 0 out of 25 potential points. Shovelware is incredibly easy to spot, and avoid it at all costs. So what should you do? Well, when we write for the web, we use our friend the inverted pyramid style. I know I've told you to get rid of that for broadcast, but you do still need that type of style when you write for the web. And just a quick refresher, with inverted pyramid style, you start with all the most important information you possibly can, and you keep writing until you run out of information, so your story just kind of ends. Now, will your web stories be as long as your 1313 stories? No, not necessarily. You can get rid of some of the stuff. I just want to make sure that the style looks correct and that the content is clear and concise and still written in that web style where we get the important information up top. So that means you're going to focus on those 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, why, and potentially the how, and let readers know as early as possible what's going on with that story so they can decide whether to keep reading or move on to the next story. Again, no shovelware. Do not copy and paste your broadcast script onto the web. Here's an example of a broadcast or a print story, a web story. This was taken from CNN.com last night about the owner of Chick-fil-A, or the founder of Chick-fil-A, who passed away Monday. You'll notice the lead, S. Truett Cathy, who grew his boneless chicken sandwich business from one store in Georgia to the Chick-fil-A chain, a $5 billion company with more than 1,800 locations, died early Monday morning. That is a print-style inverted pyramid lead. You'll see it's probably about 25 to 30 words without exactly counting. I've got the important information. If I want to move on, I can, but if I want to keep reading, the possibility is there as well. So why is this so important to keep these two styles? Well, one, when you go into a TV or radio job, you are going to be asked to write for the web. It is not a decision. It is not an option. You will be responsible for this. And your station is probably going to take it quite seriously in terms of advertising on the web and trying to get as many eyeballs on the web. So you want to be writing content that people actually want to read, and content that is easy for people to read. So there's a difference between the two. In broadcast style, we write stuff that is easy to say and easy to understand, not necessarily something that might be the easiest thing in the world for a reader at home to read and comprehend on their own. So there's a huge difference between the two, and you need to make sure and keep those styles separate and notice the difference between them as we're going throughout the semester. So when we talk about making your stories readable, there are several ways to do this, and you'll notice I just threw a lot of content up on here. Not exactly very inviting to read. The content is all correct, but it's not incredibly easy to read. So look at that and then look at the difference here. So now I just added a couple of web writing tools. You'll notice the bold headers that are surrounding chunkier information and add subheads and bullets in bold. So bold text can be your friend in certain situations. Use it to move on from one topic to the next. The subheads also allow readers to scan your story. So instead of reading from start to finish, they might look for a headline somewhere along the way. That might be the one nugget they were looking for in that story, why they went on the web to find that story. We still keep paragraphs incredibly short. So don't worry about that. We're not adding length to paragraphs because those long paragraphs look like huge blocks of text on the web, and we don't want that because people aren't going to read that. A lot of text looks incredibly boring. If you'll remember, just right here, not the greatest slide in the world. So you want to use those subheads in bold just to break things up. Bullet points also help too. When you have a list or something that calls for bullet points, don't be afraid to use bullet points in your web writing. Images also play a huge role. This is a great image that almost tells the complete story from Ferguson a couple of weeks ago. Great still image that was used in a news report from up there. The written word will add to this story, but the picture really is the story. Likewise, I asked a friend of mine who works in Kansas City to send me a great image that they shot over the past couple of weeks. This is what he sent. This was after a Royals comeback win. Just a great still image of a team celebrating. You know the whole story here without reading it, but of course they had text to accompany the story if you wanted to go ahead and read it. So images play a huge role. So I have 3 things here that are web essentials. We just talked about images. They really add life to your story. Each story you post on the web will contain 1 image that you shot yourself. So always keep that in mind. Web stories also have links. So, that is what the web is, hypertext markup language. That means we are marking up language or written word and adding hypertext to it, meaning you can send them to other places. So each of your web stories will also contain 1 link. And then likewise at the bottom, you can see you can also include multimedia to your stories if you want. If you go out and do all your interviews and you get them on video and you want to upload those to YouTube and put them into your story, or you have audio files that you want to add in, feel free to do that. But use it when applicable. Don't do it every time just because you feel the need to, but if it really enhances your story, by all means, throw them up on the web. Here's an example, again, that Chick-fil-A story. So this was just the text. Now you will notice it has the subheads in there, dreaming up the sandwich and wading into controversy. Here's what it looks like, though, when you add the image and the headline. It makes a huge difference. You can see that same lead there, but now the story obviously has a much more, a bigger impact on you in terms of a visual impact once you've added the image and the headline. Couple final words. When you work with links, keep your link wording short. So that first example you see there, Texas State University's Associated Student Government released its anti-solicitation proposal this week. What are we linking to there? We have really no idea. Are we linking to Texas State? Are we linking to the Associated Student Government? Are we linking to the anti-solicitation proposal? Are we linking to a news story about this? We don't really know. But if you look at the second option, Texas State University's Associated Student Government released its anti-solicitation proposal this week. Now anti-solicitation proposal is the only word, or the only words linked. And so now we are letting our reader know, hey, if you click on this link, you are going to be sent to the anti-solicitation proposal. You always want your links to look like this second example and not the first example. Use phrases or wording that indicates where you're sending them. Don't use stuff like click here or, here's a link for more information. Show your intent. Especially these days, readers don't want to be clicking on links where they don't know where they're going. So be very clear with where you're sending them. Here are a couple more examples. The governor's voting record detailed a troubled history of siding with oil companies from other countries. So you can guess, because it says voting record, I, as a reader, know that if I click on that link, I'm going to get sent to some sort of a voting record from a governor, whether it's time in office or time as a state legislator, something like that. Now, if you look at the second example, the governor said she is hell-bent on clearing her name and said she will do whatever it takes to earn back the trust of voters. We've linked the word hell-bent. Where in the world are you sending them with that? Are you sending me to a YouTube link of her screaming? Are you sending me to some, metal song? I have no idea where that's going, and so I would never click on that link. So make sure you're very clear where you're sending people with a link. Final tip, always, always, always double, triple check your links to make sure they work. Once you publish your story, first thing you do, check your links, click on them, make sure you're sending people to the right place where you wanted to send them.